Hello everyone, I'm James Milan. Welcome to this Town Hall update. I am joined by our Town Manager Jim Feeney. And today we are going to be talking about the new automated curbside trash and recycling program. I'll bet not for the last time with that. We also want to talk about National Public Works Week and an open house at our Public Works later this month. But first, Arlington was recently included in the Climate Leader Communities program. So what does that mean?
Thank you, James. So what that means is we were, along with 18 other communities in Massachusetts, we're included in the inaugural cohort of what will now be known as Climate Leader Communities. And this is a designation through the Massachusetts Department of Energy Resources. So this program builds upon one that I know you're familiar with, the Green Communities program. James, we've talked about that a number of times, given all the grants we've received. So we were designated as a green community back in 2010, and we've received, north of $2.2 million in what are known as Green Communities grants since that time. So this new designation is sort of like a next step, or what I'll call a level above the green communities. So this designation will actually allow us to pursue larger amounts of grant funding, actually up to $1 million per round. And it is targeted at decarbonizing buildings and our transportation fleet, essentially. So to become a climate leader community, Arlington was required to meet 5 established criteria. Obviously, given our history, we were well poised to do this. The first was you have to establish a local energy committee. We're fortunate that our Clean Energy Futures Committee has been hard at work since 2018, so we were covered there. And you have to make a municipal decarbonization commitment. Fortunately, again, in 2021, we adopted Arlington's Net Zero Action Plan, which made a commitment to decarbonize our buildings and our vehicle fleet, all with an effort to be net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. We did have to draw up a separate municipal decarbonization roadmap, and we were able to seek a grant for technical assistance to help us draft that roadmap. We had to recently adopt a zero emission vehicle first policy. That is something we did over the course of roughly the past year and a half. And last year, Arlington Select Board and School Committee approved the policy that will ensure electric vehicle purchases are prioritized over gas vehicles, and we have incorporated that into our annual capital planning process to ensure that we follow that. And then the last element was the adoption of the Specialized Stretch Energy Code. Fortunately, Arlington's town meeting adopted that code in 2023. That code essentially prioritizes all electric new building construction, and that took effect on January 1st of 2024. So we had to essentially check those 5 boxes, but also prepare a significant amount of documentation and package it up. And it was a lot of work, and it had to be done in a very tight timeline for us to be included in this first sort of inaugural cohort, and to allow us to start applying for grants as soon as they're made available. So I have to give a special nod of recognition to our sustainability manager, Talia Fox, for her ongoing leadership in this sphere. And she is just truly an asset to the town, and this designation would not have been possible without her work on this.
Yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment on Talia's part. It truly is. I really appreciate the fact that you went through those elements because it really shows this is serious stuff. These are major, major steps that need to be taken. And this is not just some kind of nice window dressing designation. This is kind of both a reflection of what we have done, but also clearly going to open the path for us to keep moving, which is what everybody expects and hopes will happen. So excellent, very, very, thanks for that. So let's get on to probably the big topic for today and for a while coming forward here, and that is we are getting a new automated curbside trash and recycling program into town, I think starting July 1st. it's your floor here, Jim.
Thank you, James. Yes, as we say around the office, like, now let's talk trash. So, indeed, we will be transitioning from our current waste hauler to a new waste hauler, Waste Management. They actually go by WM now, and that transition has started behind the scenes, but it will officially take effect on July 1st of 2025. So, we're less than 2 months away from rolling out what will be an entirely new program. So what we're going to be doing is enacting what's called automated curbside collection. So we'll be joining many other communities, not just in Massachusetts, but across the country, who have already transitioned to an automated collection method. What that really means is, every household is getting a standardized, uniformly designed, rugged wheeled cart with an integrated lid. It's provided to provide a uniform service level across the community, and then trucks with mechanical lift arms will actually lift up that container and dump the waste out of it and put it back on the ground. So it replaces a far more manual collection method that we're all sort of accustomed to seeing with, usually two helpers riding around on the back of a waste truck up and down our streets. So while we are changing our collection method, there will be no change at this time to routes or times of day or to when you would put your trash out. So we do have a fairly comprehensive FAQ document now available on the town's website. There will be a press release. We have a lot of information at arlingtonma.gov/recycle. But I do want to let folks know this is a process that started actually more than a year ago with, in the spring when we began in earnest drafting what we call an RFP, or request for proposals, and really generated a, comprehensive 113-page, I think it was, document that outlined what the town was looking for in a waste hauler. And, we go through a publicly advertised process and we accept bids. There was a lot of interest from the industry in serving Arlington. Majority of the proposers, 3 out of the 5, were interested in providing automated collection here in the community. Only 2 of the haulers were interested in providing for manual collections. That actually represents a larger industry shift. The trend is towards automation. I think we knew going into this process that automation was largely inevitable here in Arlington. What we didn't know was if it would be this contract cycle or perhaps next. So what we found was within this cycle, it was very much so sort of financially advantageous for us to head down the road and make a capital investment in purchasing these trash and recycling carts, also known as toters, for the community, because it looked like it was going to be saving us, anywhere from $1.5 to $2 million annually just on the collection side of our contract. So it really was, sort of the right decision financially. But at the same time, experience in other communities has shown that it is a very reliable service delivery as well. Like, the model relies on less staffing, so it's more resilient when labor market conditions get very tight, or just the operational challenges that, a manager of a large fleet might experience with, sick calls or vacation time, right? Like, you rely on less individuals, so there are less challenges day to day, so you do get sort of a more reliable service from one day to the next and from 1 week to the next. So, we're hopeful that is an improvement for our community. I think one thing when we went into the process was we really wanted to have a menu of options to choose from, whether it be manual or automated, unlimited yard waste or limited yard waste. We explored curbside food scrap collection. We really understood that there was a number of different ways to approach this and a number of different things that the community might be interested in. So we wanted to sort of see what industry interest was in providing those services and what the costs potentially were for introducing new services or trying out different methods of delivery. Regrettably at this time, food scrap collection at the curbside community-wide was, that service was going to cost, roughly, 1.2 million dollars. So it, unfortunately wasn't in the budget at a time when, we were already looking at potential service level reductions, even with the savings associated with automated collection. So overall, roughly our program cost is going to go up about 25% year over year. If we had stuck with a manual collection method, we would have been looking at probably an at least 85% year over year increase, and that frankly it just would not have been financially feasible given the financial constraints we live in, as a municipality, and how much our operating budgets can grow year over year. So, many of us were curious about how this sort of automated collection method would work here in Arlington. We knew a lot of other communities had transitioned, but we have some very densely populated neighborhoods. We have, a series of one-way streets. We have steep hills. Turns out we are certainly not entirely unique in our makeup or geography. Some of the same hills we have, or we're on one side of the same hill that's also in Belmont that has been automated for some time, and we have some densely populated neighborhoods that reflect some neighborhoods in Medford or West Medford who have also been automated, but both communities with waste management. But it was very reassuring to know that even our current vendor of the past 3 years, and Waste Management had served the community for 8 consecutive years, prior to our current vendor, that both of those vendors were committed and were able to provide assurance that it would be successful here in Arlington. They know the community well. In fact, that was the only service they proposed to offer in Arlington because they knew it would be an effective way to collect trash and recycling here in the community. So, we will be learning more and continuing to roll out additional information to make sure the public is aware of some of the, the more granular changes that will be coming. But, beyond sort of the process that we went through, the next big hurdle we have to get over is assembling and delivering to every household in the community these carts that the community has purchased on behalf of its residents. So, working with the select board back in early April, we did make a decision for sort of establishing what that uniform service level would be for the community. And we ultimately arrived after, much debate and essentially a split vote that we believed that the, best size that would meet the needs across a variety of households would be 65-gallon carts for both trash and recycling. Of course, there was no one-size-fits-all solution, but this was found to be sort of the one size that fit most. So, we did place an order for these carts, in large part about a month ago. So they are in production and will be getting rolled out and delivered to the community largely in the second and third week of June. We do recognize, however, though, that some residents may have a hardship, that would make the 65-gallon trash and recycling carts challenging to maneuver given sort of their size. So to accommodate these residents, we have ordered and will be ordering a few more of the 35-gallon, they're a smaller trash and recycling cart. So those folks who may have a hardship, we do have a form available on the town's website, again, arlingtonma.gov/recycle, where folks can self-select to downsize to the smaller cart. And we hope to accommodate as many of those requests as we can initially, but that's something we will continue to work through both pre-deployment of carts and post-deployment of carts to try to make sure that we are equipping households with the carts that sort of best suit their needs, beyond having made a decision sort of at the community level. So I think those are the things I wanted to share with sort of, where we are now. There are some other key changes with the program moving forward that I will highlight, and that is that we will no longer have what I've often described as sort of the gold standard with yard waste collection, which is weekly 3-season collection. We will be transitioning to a model very similar to our neighbors like Lexington, Belmont, and many, many others, where we will be providing bi-weekly collection, on the same time frame that we always have. It'll start in April and proceed bi-weekly through most of the month of October, and then we will proceed with weekly collection when volumes get heavy starting at the end of October through November and into the second week of December. So weekly collection will be available during those times, and that was sort of done largely as a cost savings measure so that we could ensure that we didn't have to, so we could fit all the services in our budget, but we wouldn't have to consider, shifting to a model where we might have to consider bi-weekly recycling, because we didn't think that would work particularly well in Arlington as a community because of the volume of recycling that we generate and how good of a job we do recycling. So that really didn't seem to be in the picture for us like it may be for some of our neighboring communities. And that also would have resulted in, even larger bins going out to households that could have created, space constraints. So I think those are, again, a couple of the highlights. There will be a change also with what we call bulky item collection. Given that, all waste is now going to have to fit into these official Town of Arlington toters that are getting delivered to households, items that don't fit in that toter are going to require a special collection. And so if you have a sofa, that's something we would be, collecting at the curbside now, but moving forward, that will be done via an appointment and for a fee paid directly by the resident to the waste hauler, and that will be able to be scheduled online. I believe, though, we're still confirming some details, that will happen, the bulky route will happen one day per week. So we, obviously you're talking about it now. We've talked about this at town meeting, at select board meetings. We have a lot of information on our website. We've done social media. We are, planning a press release. We did what we know is an Arlington alert yesterday, but we are also going to be mailing a colorful postcard flyer to every household in the Arlington community that will be impacted by this program. So those should land next week, the week of May 12th. There will be some details on the cart, but it more so directs people to the website so that they can learn more. When we do deliver the carts to the community in June, they will be accompanied by information packets about how to place the carts at the curbside, how to place their waste into the carts, which way to face, the carts to the street, what some of the space considerations to keep in mind when you are placing the carts at the curbside, making sure they're within 3 feet of the curb line, 3 feet away from obstructions, at least 3 feet away from one another. What we mean by that is you don't want them too close to one another, but you could even put them on opposite ends of your driveway apron. They don't have to be next to each other. We just want to ensure that they are at least 3 feet apart. So, we acknowledge this is a big change and will be a period of transition. We obviously thank and appreciate the public's patience and cooperations during this process. We will continue to do extensive outreach, and if there are questions we haven't answered yet, we will continue to answer them and update our frequently asked questions page as we learn more what the residents still have questions about and what they may want to learn more about. I guess the final thing I would say, when people do get their new carts, they may be interested in, okay, well, what do I do now with the bins and containers that I have been using? With regard to your trash barrels, we are encouraging people to consider using them for yard waste moving forward. We will provide yard trimming stickers that can be affixed to those barrels. Those are available at Public Works. Again, with yard waste shifting to really a biweekly collection, that may present a problem with some of those paper bags. So your trash barrel may be, the best place to keep it over the course of 2 weeks. Of course, we'll be doing collection events, and you could drop it down at the Reuse and Recycling Center on Ryder Street. You can certainly make an appointment online, and then that will provide us the opportunity to recycle, potentially even rehome some of those containers that you may not want anymore. And then finally, we will have an option to dispose of them at no cost to our residents through the waste hauler, and it will be treated essentially as a bulky item, where if someone wanted to dispose of it, likely over the course of the first 2 months of the program, say, they will be able to schedule an appointment, and a specialized truck would come out and collect your old recycling bin or the trash barrel that you may not want anymore, so that we can dispose of that. So I think I would just close by acknowledging just how much work and effort goes into sort of transitioning a community-wide service. And as I noted, this started in earnest over a year ago. So I just want to give sort of my kudos and thanks to our Public Works Director, Mike Rademacher, and our Recycling Coordinator, Charlene Milan, for their work during this process. I know they've been hard at work for over a year, but also in a way, the work is just beginning as well, and will continue throughout the summer to help ensure that this is a smooth transition. And we're confident with our new waste hauler that we will be able to make sure that there's as few bumps in the road as possible, and that we'll get through this hopefully seamlessly.
I didn't put a timer on you there, Jim, but I got to say, in all the town hall updates we've done, that was probably as extensive, as exhaustive a description of both the process and what people can expect. Certainly, I think you guys, I hope that people out there in the listening public agree. You guys have done more than your due diligence about this. You're really trying to make it as close to seamless as possible. You are relying on the patience of the community. It's going to try the patience of some, no doubt about it. But let's, folks, let's be good about this together, because that's a whole lot of work. So,
thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for that description. And you'll be happy to know we only have a couple of items left. We are staying within the DPW world, though. Tell us about the ribbon cutting and DPW week, et cetera.
Sure. So it's my honor, and I'm pleased to do so, to invite the public to view the award-winning Public Works facility, which has been under construction for a few years now. I say award-winning because now that we're nearing completion, it has actually been recognized with 3 separate awards by 2 different organizations.
Wow.
In 2025. So the American Council on Engineering Companies has a design competition each year, and we won a silver award for outstanding professional design in comprehensive renovation and new design at the state level, and we also received a recognition award at the national level. And then beyond that, we received a Project of the Year award in the category of historical restoration and preservation from the American Public Works Association. So, it really was a unique project with a brand new building, some historic renovation of existing buildings, a new salt shed, a lot of work and infrastructure going in under the ground, done over the course of a number of phases on an occupied site with hazardous materials underground. So really a very complex project that we're all excited to be wrapping up soon. And with National Public Works Week coming up later in May, we thought it was the perfect opportunity to sort of bring these things together and celebrate the accomplishments, the Public Works Department, and invite the public to join us. So we will be holding an open house on Thursday, May 22nd from 5 to 6:30 p.m. A ribbon cutting ceremony will take place at 5:30 p.m. Our Public Works vehicles will be on display. Tours of the new facility will be available. Light refreshments will be served. So We hope the public takes the opportunity to come out and see this facility. Obviously, our public works staff work hard year-round serving the community, and this is a great opportunity to see all of the assets that help make their critical work happen on a day-to-day basis.
Great. And also, frankly, as you have mentioned this before, and it deserves mention again, it's an opportunity for folks to go and interact with DPW personnel and thank them, frankly.
Offer thanks,
because, there's, again, just so much work being done that the rest of us are not aware of unless it doesn't get done to our satisfaction. And then we make you guys very aware of that,
Indeed.
et cetera. So, this sounds like a festive occasion. It will be a festive occasion, obviously, and I do hope that people take advantage of that.
Great, thank you.
All right, Jim. I really don't feel good asking this, but anything else?
Nope, that's it for today.
All right, good for you. And again, he is Jim Feeney. He is our town manager. And as you've heard, this is a man who is on top of the situation in a lot of ways. Much complicated information to convey today. We appreciate him taking the time to do it. We appreciate you hanging in there to listen right through it. So thanks for tuning in to this Town Hall Update. I'm James Milan for Jim Feeney. We'll see you next time.